Part of working on the railroad is being a little bit flexible with what you do and when you do it. I had hoped today that I would be able to complete another section of the elevated track. I have a section that needs to be painted and then allowed to dry, and then the second coat of paint put on, and then that would be permitting me to put it in place right here. However, it's a very, very windy day outside, and that means painting, spray painting the next section of support board is not going to work today. So instead, I'm going to be doing a few other things, some electrical repairs and a couple of other steps that happen along the way. I thought, though, I would show you where I am right now. As you can see here, this 048 curve has been completed, and I have it all in place and screwed down. I'm working on a concealment for the drop cords, where I drop a connection between the track and the wiring under the table. That's a little bit unsightly, so I'm working on concealing that, and I've got this piece of PVC that I'm going to be painting black, and I'll put a cap on it as well, so that will hide that section of wiring. It's important also that I take a look underneath, and if we can get down here, you might be able to see that the wiring is running under the table here, and it's a little bit, again, a little bit unsightly. I found one of the ways that I can conceal that is by using heat shrink tubing, the tubing that you normally use to heat shrink and seal connections, but instead of heating it, I just use it as it is and put it around there and then glue it in place, and that then makes it look like I've got a black conduit pipe or something along those lines. So I've got a few places that I need to do stuff like that on the layout. I also did one other thing yesterday that I'll show you, and that was down here underneath the table. I put in an auxiliary terminal block. The terminal blocks that allow me to connect up the wiring for the power drops from the Fastrack to the circuit down here, and also the accessory circuit as well, is on a terminal block that has 8 positions on each side of it, which is great, but sometimes you actually end up with so many connections onto one point that it becomes unwieldy and doesn't work real well. So I bought these little 4-position terminal blocks, and I'm going to be putting a few of those around the table to take up some of the load so that I don't have too many connections onto a terminal block. The layout is coming along, and as you see here, the next section here is this long straight. I've got about a 32-inch straight section here on the end that I'll be doing next. That means that I need to cut the board to the 32-inch length, that I need to paint the underside of the board flat black, and then I'll paint the upper side of the board and the 2 sides and ends of the board with a spray paint called soft iron color, which gives it a metallic look, and that blends in pretty well with the layout and the Fastrack. So that'll be coming up. I need to cut through XPS foam that is under the Fastrack and over the top of the plywood tabletops, and get down to the actual plywood tabletops to put the supports in place. Because this wood is 5.5 inches wide, I am going to look for a center point at 2 3/4 inches. The train on a curve will overhang, and I have to leave more room between the columns and the tracks. But on a straightaway, I'm going to have no worries about the train overhanging. Okay, I have the auxiliary terminal block in place. I have the jumper wire connecting the main terminal block to the auxiliary, and I've got grounds connected now to both of those terminal blocks instead of all piled one on top of another on the main terminal block. That makes a much better connection, and now there comes a test to see whether it'll actually work. I'm going to connect up the trains, get them running, and let's see what happens. There goes the freight train, and now we'll try the passenger train. There we go. Our passenger train is running. Our freight train is running. So we have movement on the Polar Express. And it looks like all the accessories are lighting up the way they're supposed to. Got lights on here. I got street lights are all working. Those are connected through that terminal block. So it looks like we have got everything functioning the way it's supposed to. I'd say that's a successful test. Please like the video, click the thumbs up down below, like the video, share it with anyone else you know who's into modeling, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so that you hear about each of the new videos as they come out. Again, thanks for watching.